I haven't reacted to PragerU in a long time because I feel like that is completely irrelevant now. They've fallen off, as the children would say. You fell off. Wow. They get no views compared to before. One of the original YouTube big hitters is just dead. Wait, China returns to Mao. Oh my god, that sounds good. That sounds like something I do want to see. China returns to Mao, and when I mouse over the thumbnail, the first thing that shows up is Alibaba. I really want to know, what does the Alibaba Corporation have to do with Mao? I have to know this. So I am clicking this video. This is the PragerU video that I want to see. I need to know what this lady thinks Alibaba has to do with fucking Chairman Mao. Let's go.
Socialism is failing China. It wouldn't be the first time. After the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP took over the country in 1949. Party leader Mao Zedong set out to create a socialist paradise.
And he did.
He forced the farmers to sell their produce.
Wait, which professional Chinese dissident is this? What's her name? Helen Rayleigh. Helen Rayleigh. Okay, Rayleigh. Who is she? Helen Rayleigh is an inspirational speaker. She is one credible and powerful example of how rugged individualism and gritty self-determination secure the American dream. The great, who is this? Author, speaker, advocate. That's like a really complicated way of saying, I have absolutely no credentials whatsoever. Helen Rayleigh, CFA, CDID, DTM. What is any of them? No one has ever heard of these titles before. What is DTM? Down to Munch? Distinguished Toastmaster? Okay, Helen Rayleigh, Distinguished Toastmaster. Helen Rayleigh, CDID. Did she make up a bunch of titles? What is this shit? CFA. Is he like the fucking CFA Frank? Are you a currency? She was born and raised in communist China. She came to the US as a college student. She knew no one and had less than $100 in her pocket. How is it possible for someone who came to the US as a college student, meaning that she probably had to pay, had less than $100 in her pocket? Story bullshit made up. Only rich kids can be sent to the US to go to college from another country. She has a master's degree in business economics and business administration. And I guess she failed at actually running businesses, so she decided, I'm just going to talk about how China is bad to American conservatives. Highly sought after public speaker and political commentator. She's a leader in the community. Was this written by ChatGPT? Speech topics, immigration reform, understanding China, unconventional leadership, invest like a Zen master. This is the sort of person that can only exist thanks to social media. Speech topics. Someone with absolutely no fucking idea what she's talking about, no qualifications, no reason to really be listened to aside from her nationality, saying things that you want to hear and that like a 4-year-old could understand because it's that simple. Okay, let's see what else she's got to say.
At the fixed prices.
You say she's think tank trash. She's not even qualified enough to work for a think tank. I don't think any think tank would hire someone who at least isn't like a pretend economist with like a C- in a bachelor's in economics. I don't think she's even on that level.
Industries and abolish private property.
Good job, Chairman Mao. We stand a based king.
Things went from bad to very much worse.
How?
Between 1958 and 1962, China experienced the worst famine in human history.
They're playing all the hits here. They're playing all the fucking hits. I can already tell you how this is going to go. Communists took over, then they skipped 10 years, Great Famine, and they skip another 10 years, Cultural Revolution, and then suddenly we're in the present day. That is what this video is going to be. Let's see if I'm wrong.
Estimates range as high as 50 million dead. Throughout Mao's...
I feel like she's putting on like this accent. She's been in the US far too long to still have an accent this pronounced. I feel like she's putting this on to like play up like the I'm a Chinese immigrant thing. I've talked to many Chinese people who immigrated at like, teens, like late teens. They don't sound like this at all.
Many more were exiled, jailed, or killed. After Mao died in 1976.
Well, this is the accent of someone who learned English in China and never really put it into practice. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't know. I feel like this is put on.
I'm consuming.
Signs of a free market began appearing around the country.
And it's okay. I'm immune from cancellation, so I will take the bullet for you guys by saying what everyone was thinking. No fucking way that someone who has spoken English since they were 18 still has this pronounced of an accent. There's no way. I know tons of Chinese immigrants, tons of immigrants from other Asian countries as well, and they do not sound like this at all, not even close.
Free farmers sold a portion of their produce at market prices. In the cities, black markets emerged. Haircuts, shoe repairs, and other services were bartered for food.
Anyone who gives an illegal haircut will be punished under my dictatorship.
Instead of cracking down as Mao would have done, his successor Deng Xiaoping realized that for the CCP to survive, it had to adapt. It had to allow the Chinese people a measure of freedom.
It's freedom for her capitalism. Is that the synonym?
The free market is like a grapevine. It thrives wherever it's given a little room to grow. Farm yields quickly doubled.
Okay, how is it a free market exactly? How is it a free market? You can't just have a little bit of free market. You can't have a tiny little, one farmer has a free market, okay? So what we're talking about here was not even remotely close to being a free market. More competition, sure, but certainly not a free market. Especially since she's emphasizing like the fact that this was like, it was very limited. It was small. Okay, so it wasn't the free market then. Not even close.
And tripled. Urban shops sprang up everywhere. The more freedom the party granted its citizens, the more the nation prospered. Within 3 decades, China transformed itself from an
This is fucking amazing. Like, China was poor, then the free market came, and then China was rich. This is really the narrative that you're going with? Like, China, even post-Deng, has one of the most status economies, if not the most status economy in the world, aside from, like, North Korea. It's, like, basically a state-managed, like the state managing capitalism to take advantage of comparative advantages that they can exploit in international markets to make their country rich. It was incredibly state-led. There was nothing like free and spontaneous and like market transaction spontaneously spurring growth about it. It was state-led, state-pushed from the very beginning. It still is today.
Impoverished the nation to the world's second largest economy. In that time, 800 million Chinese.
I don't even think that a 4-year-old, like this is too simple even for a 4-year-old. It's so crazy how simple PragerU videos are. Like they think their audience are children. And I mean, mentally, they probably got that right.
Chinese lifted themselves out of poverty.
Usage of the World Bank $1 a day poverty line. We're going to be talking about that in my next main channel video. Don't you guys worry.
One of them was Jack Ma. Born in 1964, Ma, like most Chinese, grew up poor. He became an English teacher in 1988, making $12 a month.
Okay, very simple question. How did Jack Ma, who grew up poor, become an English teacher? English being a profession that requires someone to, go to university to be like a skilled professional. How did that happen? We just skipped that whole part. Was it because university was like free? Was it because education was free? Or was he just a miracle of the free market who just suddenly went from being a child to being a qualified English teacher as if nothing has ever happened, which then gave him, part of the, the capital, both cultural, social, and monetary that he then needed to create his own business? Or I guess that didn't actually happen. I guess he just sprouted into like an English teacher out of nowhere and the state had nothing to do with it. It was all the free market, as you can see.
During a trip to the US in 1995, Ma used the internet for the first time and recognized its potential.
Okay, I can tell you right now, this sounds like a bullshit origin story of a billionaire. They all have their own bullshit origin story, like Bill Gates, we were poor in a garage, that sort of thing. It's all made up fucking bullshit. They were people who very early on had connections with all of the most important people who they needed to get financing, to get, not only were they not actually poor in the first place, but they had the connections that they need, usually from universities at least, with like other people in their field who were like at the highest level, and people who could help them to get investors and stuff. They were not just random poor people in a garage, as they like to claim. And usually, I think it was Bezos who got a massive initial investment, or comparatively massive, for someone just starting their first business from his parents. And then there's like Elon Musk, whose fucking dad owned a fucking mine in South Africa during apartheid. So it's always bullshit. And I'm not even going to check, but I can already tell you this is like Jack Ma's own personal bullshit rags to riches origin story that he made up. They all have them.
Upon returning to China, he founded an e-commerce company called Alibaba, providing an online marketplace for small businesses and bargain-hunting consumers to trade directly with one another. Alibaba became a huge success.
Thank you, socialism, for Alibaba.
$150 billion initial public offering in 2014 was the largest in the history of the New York Stock Exchange. Ma became the richest person in China, with an estimated worth of $25 billion. Stories like Ma's were repeated 1,000 times over.
Why are they? And then I hope they were put in jail 1,000 times over, every single one of them.
Capital poured in from around the globe. The nation's economy grew by 9% or more per year.
And that was so incredibly state-directed. It's the complete opposite of what you think what you advocate for. Let's make this faster, boys.
To most, it was a thundering endorsement of the power of the free market.
It was anything but the free market. Why do they always do this? I'm so sick of this. Watch my video debunking Johnny Harris if you want to see me talk about this for 2 hours. Thank you.
But that's not how China's new leader, Xi Jinping, saw it. It wasn't entrepreneurs like Jack Ma who deserved the credit for the Chinese miracle. It was socialism and the CCP.
I mean, it was.
For Xi, the path to more prosperity was not more freedom, but more government control.
Yes.
So Xi slowly and deliberately forced China back toward the socialist economic model.
I mean, for one, this just didn't happen. So little has changed economically in China since back then, unless you mean the billionaires, being taken out back and dealt with. Aside from that, economically, not that much has changed.
Invasion by Mao.
Like there's nothing close to Xi Jinping and the socialist economic model envisioned by Mao. You got to be fucking with me.
Deeply suspicious of entrepreneurs and their independent ways.
Are they using AI now? Oh man, they are, aren't they? I miss when PragerU videos were made by hand.
Xi decided to show everyone who was in charge. And what a better way to do that than by making an example of China's most celebrated success story, Jack Ma. In October
This is it? It's basically just a video about Jack Ma?
2020, Ma mildly criticized China's overly complex banking system.
How dare you?
That was too much for Xi. He ordered the Chinese authorities to abruptly suspend the $37 billion initial public offering of the Ant Group, a highly successful subsidiary of Alibaba.
Good.
The cancellation cost investors billions of dollars. The company was all
based Xi Jinping fucking over the capitalist investors. I could not imagine a bit. Wow, man, this is making me a dentist, honestly.
Also ordered to pay a $3 billion fine for alleged unfair practice.
No, the AI part is the art they're using is AI. Like that image, this is very obviously AI. If you look at the soldiers, like they just blend into each other at the end. And for some reason, these ones are holding their guns backwards while these ones are holding them forwards. It's very obviously AI.
The company was also ordered to pay a $3 billion fine for alleged unfair practices.
Good job.
Then one day, Ma just disappeared. No one knew where he was for months. In November 2022, Financial Times reported that he was living quietly in Tokyo. He's rarely seen in public now. Since Ma's public shaming, China's economic...
Can you imagine if this happened to Elon Musk? Can you imagine if this happened to Elon Musk? If that doesn't make you a pro-China guy, if that doesn't make you think that the Chinese model should be exported to the entire world, you're crazy, okay? Can you imagine if this was done to Elon fucking Musk? Oh my God! Xi Jinping, put me in the dungeon immediately, as long as you promise you do this to Elon as well. I need it so bad. Please.
Growth has slowed down significantly. The youth unemployment rate reached 21% in June 2023.
Fail.
Before Beijing stopped publishing a...
There's also not any sort of context here because it's just 21%. And then there's a graph that's going up. But you don't actually know how much it's gone up because the graph isn't actually a graph of this. Like, look, China's economic growth went down, apparently. What's the evidence for this? Well, there's a graph, like a generic bar graph going down. That's it. That's all you need. And then the next image, the same generic bar graph going up. It's the exact same graph the other way around. This is
For
great.
Beijing stopped
PragerU is so
publishing the
good.
data altogether. It didn't comport with Xi's "the government knows best" philosophy.
That's always been the philosophy of China the whole time. Both during the good times, you claim the good and the bad times. You can't just disown the ones that you don't like and say that the ones that, when things went well, they were doing what you wanted them to do. It's not how this works.
Almost no one in China is blaming Xi. No one dares.
Good. I
He
wouldn't
has
either.
recently made himself president for life,
Perfect.
which is a slightly more polite way of saying he's made himself dictator. Mao
You didn't think that he was a dictator before this? Come on. You didn't think that the people who came before him were dictators? Come on, of course you did. Give me a break.
would be proud.
He would be.
We've been conditioned to think
Actually, no, he really would not be at all. Mao would, hate Xi so much. God, he would despise everything about him, what China has become.
that China will soon surpass the US as the world's dominant economic power. But that scenario seems less likely now. The China juggernaut has stalled.
Okay, PragerU. If the China juggernaut has stalled, if you just made a video claiming the China juggernaut has stalled, you are not allowed to make any more videos fear-mongering about China taking over the world. You are not allowed to have your cake and eat it too. The enemy cannot be both too strong and too weak, okay? Done. This is your last China video ever. I don't want to see a video next week about how China is going to invade the USA with 120,000 PLA soldiers because Joe Biden's letting them in. Nothing like that, please. Done. Okay? I trust you to listen to my order. I'm bad empanada. I'm important. You're not allowed to define me.
And stagnation is a real possibility. Xi might be getting stronger, but the Chinese economy is getting weaker. Socialism never fails to fail. I'm Helen Rowley, author of Backlash, How China's Aggression Has Backfired for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video.
Author of Backlash, How China's Aggression Has Backfired. That's all? You have a this is her book, available at Amazon.com. Buy these books. Let's check them out. It has 53 reviews. Backlash, How China's Aggression Has Backfired. It looks self-published. Let's read for free. Do we have to sign in? Yeah, we do. Fuck that. This is basically from the blurb. It just sounds like it's a complaint about she's doing China created COVID and China did bad. China did lockdown bad. Should have just let everyone run around and infect each other and die. That's what I see here, which I must say is wrong. Lockdown good. China did not create COVID. You know who created COVID? I did. I'm shutting down everything now so that no one knows. You'll never be able to tell anyone the truth. Anyway, it's good to get back to watching a PragerU video for the first time in 8 years. Or however long it's been, maybe a year. That was a good one. That was finally PragerU made a video that I can watch. Thanks for the content. Donald Prager, whatever the fuck his name is. I honestly forgot at this point. Dennis Prager, that's it. He might be changing his name to Donald soon to support Donald Trump. That seems like something that he would do.